Hello everyone, my name is Matt Scorpion and welcome back to Destiny 2. So, if you have logged in or if you've seen any of the updates, you will know that the Dawning event has begun. Its 3-week cycle has began, that's the right word, but it has started and essentially will be running until the end of the year practically. And with that, Eva Levante of course comes as usual, limited time weapons, limited time cosmetics, new memento as I already mentioned once before, and a variety of other things. Now, I'll get into a few more details in their own separate videos. Obviously I'll be covering cosmetics in a respective video. I'll also be covering the Dawning and basically how it runs this time around in ways it's different than last year, but aside from that, it's time to get into everything else. So, starting off with the weekly booster, when you actually log in, it is a Gambit booster, which, odd thing for the cheery time of the Dawning. But yes, if you wanted to grind out Gambit ranks for anything, ornaments, the ritual weapon, or just Gambit ranks for the sake of doing dredging, if I remember that's a thing, but now's the time to do that. Now, going into the next first thing, the Strike playlist. Now, the Grandmaster, of course, is still not available. This isn't available until another week, which, of course, that means once that comes around, you'll be able to earn Nightfall Ciphers and, of course, the Adept version and start working on your Conqueror or Gilded Conqueror titles. But aside from that, the Nightfall this week is the Hypernet Current, which it has been a minute since it has been in our rotation. I forget if this one's truly a difficult one. But of course, like I said, we only have up to Master. Modifiers including all 3 Elemental Shields, Unstoppable, and Overload Champions being it's all taken. Arc Threat for incoming arc damage being boosted. Epitaph for taking combatants making the boopers when they go down. Chaff for no radar, and then the usual seasonal overcharge with Stasis and Solar Surge, as well as overcharge grenade launchers. It doesn't specify special or heavy, so let's just assume both. But when we get into it, like I said, it doesn't seem like a harder one of a variety. It seems like a possibly easier one. I don't remember whether or not it was a big pain in the butt for going through. But the weapon available this week, let's see if it's a new thing, is actually not. It is Onyx for the bow from last season, which is a pretty solid bow. I'm not going to lie. If you have a good Strident Whistle, I imagine you'll like this one. But on that same note, of course, you'll still only have the base version that is available. You can't get the Adept one just yet, which, if I recall, we've had Warden's Law, and we've had Loaded Question, and we are now down to Onyx, which means there is only limited options. Either next week is Braytech, the Undercurrent, or the Uzume, which one of them is an old thing, the 2 others are the new ones. Here's hoping that when Grandmasters launch, we actually have access to something new. But on that same note, moving on. So in terms of the Crucible tab, now we don't have Iron Banner currently. That was last week, which means, of course, when we get into that, we will have Trials back this weekend. We have Zone Control for our 6v6 Quick Play, Checkmate Control for 6v6 Unranked, Elimination for 3v3 Quick Play, the usual comp playlist, Relic for 6v6 Labs, and then as usual, Rumble down here. And like I said, Trials will be back this weekend. Don't know if we'll have a Trials booster, just because usually when we don't have a booster on Tuesday, we'll earn the Trial booster on Friday when, Trials launches. But starting into the rest of the world, so for our rotation stuff, Crota's End. Its rotation thing is conservation of energy for its challenge, which is the first encounter challenge. Basically, you can only use 1 lamplight between every podium banking. And from that as well, for Master Mode, it is strength-focused armor, as well as the same Stasis and Solar Surge, and Overcharged Shotgun for Master Mode Crota. And speaking of rotation, we have currently Vox Obscura for the rotation exotic mission. And the only thing that's really worth it is the Season 16 rewards if you're still hunting down red borders or want armor for fashion. Otherwise, if you really like Dead Messenger, although it's still pretty much not that great, aside from, I think, a Crucible meme loadout. So not exactly worth it. But then in terms of our rotations and about, we have for the weekly thing, Deepstone Crypt for our weekly farming raid, which like I said, always means all challenges are active, every encounter is infinitely farmable. If you want to hunt down red borders or the exotic because you are still looking for the collectibles, go for it. It is infinite, so if you can get a group together, just 10x farm it. You can probably kill them in 5 minutes if you get a well-oiled team. On that same note, going throughout the world, let's see, for Dungeon... What dungeon is it this week? Is it Grasp of it? No, I think it's gone all the way back around. Okay. I think our rotation is a little bit broken. Because last week was definitely Spire of the Watcher, and now it's going to Pit of Heresy, which skips over the Shattered Throne. So either the rotation is broken, or the Shattered Throne has something special going about it that it's going to be weekly farmable on something else specific. Who knows? It might be seasonal relevance. I haven't gotten up to date with that yet. But on that same note, darting throughout the rest of the world for everything, for Last Wish, it is currently the Strength and Memory Challenge, which, if I recall, is Riven Challenge. For Garner of Salvation, this one just rotated out, but it is the To the Top Challenge, which, if I recall, is third encounter challenge, maybe, or second. I know it's not, actually, no. No, I know it's not last encounter challenge. But then, like I said, for that one's all done. For, what's the word? Vow to Disciple. It is Defenses Down Challenge, which is third encounter challenge, basically an annoying one in Exhibition. And then to Neomuna for our Root of Nightmares, it is currently Crossfire Challenge, which is second encounter challenge. A bit of an annoying one of that. And for our Legacy Raids for Vault and Kingsfall, we have Wait For It Challenge, which is Templar Challenge. And for Kingsfall, we have the Hands Off Challenge, which if I recall is also Oryx Challenge. So there you go. On that note then, going into seasonal stuffs, our challenges for the week. Now keep in mind there is still, of course, the Dawnings stuff, which is separate. I'll cover that in its own respective video. For week 3, we have Wish Seeker 3. Complete week 3 of Wishing All the Best, aka just do this week's seasonal story. And then we also have Elemental Extremes for getting Arc, Solar, or Stasis Final Blows. Bonus progression granted for Jolt, Ignite, and Shatter. Basically, use season or subclass proverbs. Foes of the Dragon, Scorn. Defeating Scorn anywhere in the system. Defeating Scorn in Riven's Lair or the Coil grant additional progress. Additionally, Glass Collectors in the Coil. Which, from the sound of it, if you don't do these right off the bat, you can do them all together. Because you can run the Coil multiple times and basically just take care of this stuff back to back. Then, next is Dragon's Defender 3. Defeat targets with Pulse Rifles or Fusion Rifles. Grant additional progress for Guardian defeats as usual, or Final Blows within seasonal activities for this year. We also have Round and Round We Go for generating Orbs of Power in Vanguard, Gambit, or Crucible playlists. If I recall, this was literally like 10,000 orbs or something like that. So, this one might take a while. Just kind of mosey along with it. It'll happen when it happens. And then lastly, Trial by Firing Squad, which is the usual. Win multiple rounds of Trials of Osiris. You don't have to win games, you just have to win 10 rounds, and it'll give you a free Trials of Osiris weapon. Not an adept one, of course, but it is just a free weapon. Then, speaking of seasonal, getting into what is new, the rotation for the Coil. Now, I don't think anything new has developed in terms of Riven's Lair or the Coil specifically, but the Coil's rotation is as follows. Let's see, where is the rotation? Here we go. It starts with the Divining Hull, then the first steps with the Temple of the Queen's Wrath, Sensorium with the Reaver's Orison, and the first steps with the Cell of the Sycophant. In case you know what those actually mean. I don't know, honestly. I haven't run the Coil more than once or twice, which could be a mistake on my part, but I haven't seen if any of these are harder than the others. So if you're looking for specific things or needed to do specific stuff, that's the rotation. And of course, there is Arc Threat for it, Denial for taking Vandals, and then Overcharged Shotguns and Grenade Launchers, but no Surges for the Elements, unfortunately. But then, from that is pretty much everything rotation without the world. Now, like I said, the Dawning is active. One big thing to note in the world is that there will be Stasis Snowballs appearing at random. I forget if it's specifically from Stasis Kills, or if it's going to be just dropping because you did something Dawning. For Banshee, for his rotation of weaponry, on his front page we have Luna Lotta 4B, a Stasis Lightweight Frame Viced Bow, which is one that I vote for because it has interesting subclass pairings, plus this is, I think, the only Stasis bow of a variety. Correct me if I'm wrong, I think it may be, although I do wish there was more. And then we also have R Vandal FR6, which this roll is a weird mix of PvE and PvP perks, which used to be one of the best chill clip weapons in the game, with access to things like Reservoir Burst and Chill Clip. But, of course, since the nerf, it became more of an overload champion thing, and then from there on. Then we have Annual Skate, which is a hand cannon that came from Season of the Lost, which if I recall when it came out, it was one of the best Crucible rounded hand cannons in the game. But of course, this is one of the last weapons that dropped before Origin Traits, so it's still technically outdated at this point in Destiny. Then we also have Peace of Mind, which is one of those pulse rifles that is farmable in this week's exotic mission if you wanted it. A very solid rapid-fire pulse rifle, useful in the Crucible. I've heard it's kind of useful in PvE, but at the same time, it's got an interesting perk, but like I said, craftable, so if you just wanted one to test out to see how it feels, you can do that before, going full-born crafting. And then lastly, we have Palmyra B, which is a starter rocket launcher if you ever just get into the game. Now, keep in mind, it's not loading because Bungie. But if you ever needed a starter rocket launcher, that is a pretty solid one. It is the lowest among, and it's probably one of the first craftable rocket launchers you can get your hands on for fewest work. But like I said, it is a starter. If you really want better rockets, I just imagine using that until you get a better one. And wrapping up the reset with shaders available, we have Vitrified Chronology from Season of the Dawn, which if I recall is a nice sleek silver and blue. Yep, that's not too shabby. And we also have Kairos Black, which is more Mercury look, which I think was actually not too long ago along. Which I like that teal, but that brown, green, it's brown. And then lastly, we have New Monarchy Regalia, which is one of the best looking blue shaders you'll ever find in your life in case you wanted to go full Iron Man. And with that, my name is Matt Scorpion. This has been the Reset Update. Like I said, there will be its own respective videos for the Dawning and everything else in case you wanted to see that. This is not for that. I will have it up soon, though. With that, my name is Matt Scorpion, and I will see you in the next video.